check, good. So I'm Max Duran, CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. This one is part of our special collaboration with Skills Canada Competencies. The skills podcasts that we've been doing have been interviewing both the Team Canada competitors and the people that support them from across Canada to this year's WorldSkills in Lyon, France. This episode, we're going to be talking something that's very true to all of our hearts and our stomachs. Today, we are talking here to Sean Kettley, who is the WorldSkills mentor, leader, boss, trainer, all the things you need to do for cooking, which he said was Skills 34, which is good to know. Sean, how are you doing?
I'm excellent. Thanks for having me.
So I see by your what do they call the smock? What's it called? Your smock, the cooking jacket. Let's get all the terms right.
My chef's jacket. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, your chef's jacket. You're at NCC, Nova Scotia Community College. Wonderful people out there. Tony Rose from the Welding program, very good friend of mine. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I see you guys got lots of things cooking out there then.
We got lots of things cooking out here. I'm at the campus here at NSCC Acrely in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And I'm actually at campus today with our competitor, Olivia. We are here practicing, getting ready for Lyon, France. So,
I think before we get too far into this, because I know this is a competition that a lot of people can get behind without any experience. You know, this is one of the types of trades that we all are connected to because we all eat. And in reality, we're connected to all the trades around us. But this one is an obvious one that we have to actively partake in throughout our day. And yet I find that there's very little understanding of what a cooking competition would look like, outside of perhaps the TV shows that we see on the Food Channel or stuff like that, right?
Right.
For yourself, for skills competition, when someone says they're in the cooking competition, what is it that they do? What is it that they're expected to do?
Well, I can get into that for sure. Back up 1 second, I think, and I'll say off the bat that they usually are quite different from the ones you see on TV.
Right.
They really are. And TV being TV, their primary mission is to entertain. But with the skills competitions, the primary mission is to really assess the skills that these young cooks have. That can be entertaining, but entertainment isn't the focus, right? It really is with these competitors and about the knowledge and skills that they have, for sure.
And the skills, these are not skills that are just picked up off the street. These are skills that are very, fortified. This is a very ancient tradition that has been, dialed in for thousands of years. There's colleges and universities, and there's a whole field of perfection when it comes to the palate, and the field that you're, coaching Olivia in now, how far along her journey is she? Where is she in this pathway?
Well, it's a great points. She is in her third year within the profession. She started with us right into our first year of culinary management, which is two-year diploma. And right away, a colleague of mine kind of identified her as having the right stuff to get into a skills competition. And this is before really she had even learned to cook. This is right at the beginning of the year, because you can teach all that. We can teach the skills. But we can't teach the internal, right? We can't teach them to care. We can't teach them to have passion about what they're doing. We can't teach them really to want to collaborate with the chef.
That competitive nature.
Yeah, those are really two different things. And let's be real right off the top that skills competitions are team sports, right? There would be one person up on the podium, and wouldn't it be great if it was Olivia and Canada could win medals 2 skills in a row in cooking. But at the end of the day, it takes a team to get them there, and it's important for the skills competitors to understand that, that they need to work with us and not against us, that it is a collaboration that puts them to the top. You mentioned about all countries, they all cook, and it's all part of the human existence, and it's true. And that's why cooking is, I think it is but if not one of the largest events at Skills or at WorldSkills. And it's because just about every country who sends competitors will send someone to cooking. So we got, and in Lyon, we have 44 competitors in cooking over 4 days. So it's a big event.
And 44 competitors representing probably, I would say close to 44 countries, because I think I wouldn't imagine you get more than one in there, because I know the welding circuit, and then you don't get two, right?
It's one per country. That's correct.
Right. So that's 44 cultural histories, 44 palates that have evolved differently based on their local spices and foods, and all being put in the same room with the same equipment, all homogenized, layouts, and said, cook X. And cooking X is a required understanding of not only the ingredients that go into that food, but the palate that's going to taste it after and what the expectations are. How do you train the person to compete for things that they may not even have ever even known? If you have to say, hey, we're going to be doing a Nigerian jollof in 2 weeks, that would be something that you need to train and understand and learn. And what is the flavor you're chasing? That basic understanding, right?
Yeah, it's excellent questions. And, these test products, they're developed by independent committees. And so it's to save anyone from having an unfair, advantage. But boy, what a job it is in creating those projects, because they really do need to consider that if we put a super regional dish on as a project, that's going to give an unfair advantage to someone. Right. So they have to develop projects that test the skills that all cooks would have, right, and not just their ability to replicate a particular dish that was probably developed by their coach or their trainer, and they're just photocopying it. So they want to see them cook, and that's where skills has gotten to. And it's really exciting because for a while there, it was like that. These competitors would practice for years in some cases. Their trainer would develop a dish, and they would just work like robots. They would just replicate it over and over and over and over. And then on competition day, you'd go and do it one more time, and then it would get evaluated. But you know what? Like, that's not our industry. That's not what the world is like. And so they really have narrowed the focus to bringing the competition back to a reflection of real life. And when I saw that happening a couple of WorldSkills ago, my first one was in Kazan, Russia, and I saw that there. That got exciting for me because, again, it's not what you see on TV, and they really do want that to be a fair but also an authentic reflection of what cooks are expected to do the world over, whether they work in a restaurant, whether they work in a large hotel preparing buffets. We all have the same basic skills that we have to do. We all have to look after our guests. The world over, guests have dietary needs. Whether you're vegan, vegetarian, whether you're celiac, that happens the world over, and we have to adapt. And we have to meet the guests' needs through our cooking.
I was in Kazan, Russia at the time. I was a welding instructor with my student Adam Sebastian, who was competing for WorldSkills for welding. And I remember doing the first tour. As the trainers, you're there a few days early, and walking through the locations and the venues, and walking into the cooking area. And being like, it's like ovens as far as you can see. Like, it was insane.
It is huge, and as you were, like we say, WorldSkills, it's the biggest event that no one's heard of, right? It's just massive. what goes on to put on a WorldSkills. It really is just like the Olympics in that. And when I arrived in Kazan, I was slack jawed. There's no question about it. What I saw, I was like,
And
wow,
beautiful venue too. It was really
incredible,
wonderful out there.
incredible.
Now, in every trade, there's a certain natural ability that you want to build upon. For example, in the welding trades, if you suffer from poor eyesight in welding, you are at a serious disadvantage because the eyesight is very critical to welding properly. And there's always ways to get around that. There's always accommodations, but it's definitely something you need to confront early on in a welding career. In cooking, what are the basic skills, like the ones that you would need right off the top, day one student, to to really have a career in cooking? Is there something that would be a benefit or something that gives them a leg up or something that would perhaps be a detriment or they'd have to work on?
In my experience with cooking, that unless you have an obvious challenge, like let's just say something, your olfactory sense is compromised, so that
Right.
it impacts your ability to smell and clearly impacts your ability to taste. So when you're preparing food for others, that's a challenge. But even that can be worked around. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can work around that. For me, it's the soft skills. And I mentioned with Olivia, that's why we identified her right off the bat. She had that personality, she had that collaborative spirit, she had a little bit of competitive drive in her,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she wants to work with us, and if you have that, and if you can pay attention to the details, and you care about the food you're doing and the products you're making for your guests, everything else can be worked on. If it really, if your ego gets in the way and you are in that mindset where you know more than everybody, and including your guest,
You're gonna have a
and
problem.
then you have a problem, right? And
Yeah.
we see that. I teach at a culinary school. We see that, right? And lots of times, young cooks, they just want to. They have an idea in their head. They have a vision of where they want this particular dish to go. And you know what? Eat it. You're gonna love it. It's good for you, or whatever. Trust me. But that's not how our profession works, right? The guests decide what we cook. They tell us what to cook. We don't tell them what to eat. And
Mhm.
and cooking competitions really should be the same way.
Right. And when it comes to the development of a cook, it's a 2-year program, like you said, at NSCC.
Yeah.
Explain to the people listening, what does a 2-year program look like from start to finish? Because, a lot of people don't understand the differences between a cook, a chef, because this is a red seal trade. There is a top tier. And there's also, you hear terms in the everyday world, a line cook, a sous chef. And I don't think a lot of people understand what any of these things mean. And I'm sure when you go to school at college, there's probably a clear definition of this is what these roles are, right?
That's right. And, people, I've been in this business a very long time, and people ask me, what do you do for a living, right? And I tell them I'm a cook. And they say, oh, well, where do you work? Oh, I teach the program at Nova Scotia Community College. And they go, oh, you're not a cook, you're a chef. And I'm really, well, yeah, I guess. I pride myself, like, this is the cooking profession. It's not the
Yeah.
chefing profession. And and all, chef is a level, right? And in
Hmm.
French, it just means chief, and so that would mean you're the chief in the kitchen. But at the end of the day, we're all cooks. It's what
Right.
we do, and it is known as the cook trade, not the chef trade, and so yeah, people come to cooking school, not the chefing school, and we start off with there. It really changes the mindset of what it is you're here to do. So to answer your question, though, at NSCC, we offer a couple of different pathways. You could take a 1-year culinary skills certificate, graduate with that, direct entry right into the workforce. or you could do a 2-year culinary management diploma. Still the same basic, technical skills for cooking. But in year 2, that gets broadened more into more leadership and management aspects with regards to running a business and make not only knowing how to cook, but how to do so profitably, which is an important part of our industry. And then after graduation for that 2-year diploma, they could come back after about a year's experience, so 3 years total, and then finish up with their Red Seal and their apprenticeships.
Well, that's I was going to save this point for later, but it kind of slides in right now because it's something that I find funny. So I love to cook. And I'm not going to pretend I'm anything good, but I feel like I'm a pretty good cook. I'm from another country that has come to Canada, and so in my travels, I've picked up a few palettes, and now I find that I can really distinguish between smells and tastes and what would go together, and it's something that I like to experiment with. And when we first came to Canada, there was the joke among us Chileans was, every Canadian man says they cook. And when they say that, they just mean barbecue. Because,
that's right.
Because that is something that in Canada, we don't do very often in Chile. We don't have the cuts of meat available to us in South America as they do here in Canada. So barbecuing here is a whole nother level. There's whole different types of meats that are cooked here that I never saw before. So there is a skill that goes with that, but from the point of view of a teacher, someone that has students come in every year, how much of internal biases do you have to deal with? Like, this is how I like my steak. This is how I eat. I only eat potatoes. I hate broccoli. I hate lentils or whatever it is. Do you have to sit everyone down and say, like, look, all that's out the window. We're starting fresh, or is it the other way where it's like, bring what you like, let's focus on that and see if we can expand on those things? I get stuck thinking about palates, because I know a lot of picky eaters out there, and I thought, what if a picky eater woke up one day and said, I want to go to cooking school? What is an instructor like you have to do to teach them to become a good cook if they're a picky eater?
Max, we get all walks of life here. So every September, it's a very diverse group that comes in. We get 18 and 19-year-olds that are right out of high school. We get newcomers to Canada who are bringing their cuisines with them, largely fully formed. We get people who are on their second and third career. And so they have a different life experience coming. So it all comes in. And we get the picky eaters. we do. And at first it'd be like, yeah, wow, you're getting into the cooking profession, but then I have to step back and okay, wait, but of course, like, this is their lived experience and it's what they've grown up with, and that's all fine. But we always bring it back that again, our skill and our ability is to provide the customer with what they want, not with our particular wants. So there are foods that I don't particularly enjoy that I consider myself a pretty good cook at. Like, I know how to provide that need to my guests.
The flavor they're looking for,
what they're looking for, Max. That's the important skill, and knowing how to get there. That's a greater challenge than that when you're super passionate about a particular dish and it's your favorite. Maybe your grandmother showed you how to make it when you were a lad, and so you're really involved and invested with that. It's another thing to produce it well when it's not your favorite dish. It's a different thing altogether. But back to the diverse group we get. It's awesome because it's so diverse. We have our newcomer students come in, and what they bring to the literal table and share with the class. Boy, that's really special to see. There's learning for everyone because they're introducing foods that the rest of the class haven't seen, but also there's comfort for them, and in that we're showing that how much we value what they're bringing to the table.
Well, and food is something it's cultural, it's religious, it's familiar. It really transcends all the aspects of society. So when you have your foods that you love and that you, like you said, maybe they're a part of your family structure, when you share that with other people and you see them enjoy it, there's a connection there.
Sure
Now,
is.
do you teach the importance, and I'm sure you do, but I'm sure, like, how do you teach the importance of these connections to your cooks in training? Because you really want them to leave every incidents or every encounter with them feeling like that, to say this was great, it's inspired a feeling in me outside of just the taste. This experience was great. How do you start teaching that aspect of the trade?
I think we do a great job here with the team we have at NSCC of walking the walk, right? Like we demonstrate, we live that. It really is about the customer experience, and when we're modeling that, the students pick up on that really quickly. But if you don't walk the walk, right, they pick up on that really quick too, and then they'll do the same, but we really do believe it here. Like the chefs here are great. It's a great team we have. And every single one of them is all about the customer experience. We have it up on the walls in all of our kitchens. There's like habits of successful cooks, and one of them is on there. It's give the guests what they want, and it's there. It's in every room, and they see that every day, and we live it. It is about giving them what they want.
Now let's talk WorldSkills.
Sure.
You're the trainer for WorldSkills. How long have you been in that position?
So Kazan, Russia, 2019 was my first year as WorldSkills Expert, but I've been involved with Skills Canada for close to 20 years now. Is when I first got involved, Skills Nova Scotia, Skills Canada, and now WorldSkills. So this will be my third WorldSkills competition.
And how have you done as the expert? How has Canada done in your 3 terms or your upcoming third term?
I'm very proud, thank you. My first competitor was Leia Patitucci in Kazan, and we came out with the medallion of excellence, which was my goal. It was my first WorldSkills. I didn't know what I was expecting.
That's what I got. I got 9th, medallion of excellence. I'm pumped about that.
Right, and I said that was our goal going in, and I need to be realistic about this. It was a learning opportunity for me as well as the competitor, So I wanted to come out with that medallion of excellence. And then in 22 in Switzerland, Canada won gold for cooking with our competitor Corey, who was just a wonderful competitor. She worked very hard and did us proud with a gold medal, and I had actually considered, okay, that might be like, what do you do after gold?
Your run is over.
Yeah, so I actually considered, okay, that might be, maybe it's time to hand it off to someone else now. But then Olivia came along, and now it was an opportunity to to try it again, but also to work with one of our own, because Olivia is one of ours here at Nova Scotia Community College. Leia was in Vancouver. I was in Nova Scotia trying to work back and forth with that. Corey was in Calgary. I was in Nova Scotia trying to work back and forth. And boy, that's challenging.
It is.
And so it's to have someone here, working day to day with us. That's I couldn't pass that up. So here I am again for Lyon.
So do you have higher expectations in your mind now that you're like, okay, this one's one of ours in-house. I can work with her literally every day, every week if I want to for the next, what are we, 2 months away from Lyon? Or do you still try to keep it as a little bit of a space between you, being like, I'm not, because that's a lot of pressure on her too, because she's going to feel that from you being like, you're here. Maybe we want more,
Sure, she does. But you know what? It was that collaborative family engagement with Olivia right from the very beginning. Right, right from when we first identified her, and her teacher Jonathan said, "Hey, I think she's the one, Sean. We got one here we can work with." And that's how it was. We. It's not Sean the expert. It really is. It's a we thing. There's myself, Jonathan, another chef, Barry. The 3 of us have been focusing really on the on the cooking through her various competitions that have led to here. But then the others, our hospitality team have gotten on board with the fundraising that we've done to help give her these training experiences. So it really is a family affair, and Liv's part of that family. She's not a student anymore. She's an alumni. She's out there working, and she works with us. I don't think you could pile too much on her. She's loving it. Yeah, well, she loves it.
She's just loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's loving the work. So.
And it is magical when you see that student. You know what I mean? When it's because you get a lot of students in your life, and I taught for 10 years, and in the 10 years, there was maybe, I would say, a dozen, that were really like the ones that really stand out, the stars that just shine right from day one. Just something about their attitude, the lack of fear, I find, is a big thing. The desire to just get in the weeds and figure it out, and to have that in your home school on a WorldSkills year must have been like the stars were aligning for you.
Absolutely, that's exactly it. And we started working with Olivia, and it was in Vancouver a few years back, and it was a world's qualifying year, but we didn't think she was world's qualifying ready. Right? So she competed there, and we said, okay, this is a toe in the water, right? This is a chance for you to see, what it's like to compete and on the national level and do your best, and but without the pressures of going to the worlds. And she was all over. Like, she wasn't like, she didn't kid herself from the very beginning that she was that person and this and the big ego. And
humble,
yeah, she was very humble, and she came out with a bronze medal that year.
That's awesome.
Using that as a springboard, I think the bronze medal is probably the best springboard, right? You know what I mean? Like,
gives you a taste.
You got a taste. Yes, you're hungry now. You're hungry, right? Whereas the worst thing that can happen to, I think, a young competitor is to win a gold right off the bat, because now you think you got all the answers.
Oh, it's too easy.
It's too easy. That's right. So yeah, the bronze definitely sets things in motion. And then for her to come back in Winnipeg, the next qualifying year, and win the gold medal, and then it's been full steam ahead after that. So.
Yeah. And what's your hoped outcome here for Lyon, France? I'm sure you're gunning for that gold.
Gunning for the gold. There's no question about it. I'd be lying if I said like, because no one goes there hoping for last place, right? You know what I mean? Like, like everyone wants to be on the
podium.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, and we've talked about this from the very beginning, and some of my colleagues who are the other experts from other countries, and we kind of see it the same thing, that at the end of the day, cooking is a largely subjective affair. As much objectivity that we build into it, and things that are measured, yes and no's and stuff like that, but there is a lot of subjectivity built into something, like taste and presentation, right? That's an entirely personal view. So for us, from that, like, it really is that medallion of excellence. Like, that is the goal, because that says, like, you met the standard, right? Like, you whether you got a gold medal, you're on the podium.
You made the cut. Yeah.
But it says you made the cut, Max. Like, that's exactly what it is. So that's what we won't accept anything less than that. Like, we want that medallion of excellence, and hopefully through our hard work, we're a podium finish. Wouldn't that be lovely? But the medallion is what we're after, for sure.
Yeah. Well, how's about a little bit of information to wrap up the interview here? If someone was listening to this podcast and is interested in the cooking and culinary arts, how do they get involved? Where do they reach out to? How do they look it up? Or even more specifically, even your college, how does someone get involved?
Come here. Come to the college. Tell them you're interested in cooking. Come, spend a day in our program. We arrange that all the time, and we'll put an apron on you, and you're actually in there in the kitchens, with people, that are in your own peer group. They'll tell you things about the program and the industry that we can't, and it's a different perspective. So yeah, come and spend a day with us and ask those questions. There's tons of opportunity out there. There's no question about that.
Well, if you've been following along, I'm sure you're going to be hungry now. I know I'm ready for lunch, but cooking is one of the trade number 34, at WorldSkills and here in Canada. And if you've never been a part of a national or provincial or even jurisdictional skills competition, you got to check it out. What is it that you said earlier? The biggest?
It's the biggest event no one's heard of.
Yeah, the biggest event no one's heard of, which is amazing because, like the Olympics just wrapped up in Paris. And people are like, wow, look at the Olympics. But I don't think people realize the WorldSkills is almost as big. Like, I mean, the opening and closing ceremonies in Kazan were unreal. Like 150,000 person stadium, like full to the top. Like, I mean, this is nuts. And I wasn't able to be in Switzerland, but it was kind of broken up between, I know the welding had to be done in Cleveland. It was all kind of broken up, but now it's all kind of back together now with Paris and be involved. Any trade you're a part of, really look into this. And if you're an apprentice or just coming up, compete. Like, I mean, what a fun thing to do is to compete with your peers and see, kind of where you stand and how good you are. Maybe maybe the bug will bite you and you'll want to go further, right?
Absolutely. And also, I'll just add one last thing to that, Max, is, come to the program, see the program, but go to your provincial skills competitions. See what they're all about. I did that, when my two daughters were in high school and trying to figure out their path and what they wanted to do, and I brought them to a nationals competition, and I just told them both. I said, guys, I'll bring you and I'll pay for your ticket. You can come stay with Dad, but the deal is you got to see it all.
Walk around.
You got to walk around, and it was an eye-opening experience for the two of them. So definitely, if you're unsure of what your path is, go see a skills competition. It'll change your view for sure.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Sean, and thanks for taking the time with me today.
Thanks, Max.
You bet. And for all the people, please make sure you catch all the episodes of these special skills episodes. We are recording over 15 of them. They're going to be released in batches of 5. So, if you caught this one, there's a whole other bunch of them to listen to where we cover trades from every province and interview most of Team Canada. Also, half of the podcasts are in French, subtitled in English if you want to follow along. But if you're a French speaking or Francophone, we also have half of them in French because it was in Quebec this year, the Nationals, and so we wanted to represent that. So if you're not in Lyon, France, follow the episodes, and of course, follow online. They're going to be starting. They show all the competitions and the placings online, which I'm going to be tied to my phone, following the welding competitions and see how everyone's doing. And of course, make sure you download and share these podcasts. So stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you there. Thank you very much.
We hope you enjoyed the show.